My name is Nannette, and I donated my right kidney 6 weeks ago. It was donated to someone I know who posted on Facebook, and I heard about that. Um, didn't take me long to decide. Watching my recipient live with kidney problems uh, was a whole experience in itself. I realized over time, as we approach things very differently, and she had experience with things like being in the hospital. I did not. She knew what to pack. I did not. Um, and that we almost come from different worlds. I come from optimistic, being optimistic about my health, being lucky, healing fast if something does happen. And she comes from a life where her health has been a bit disappointing. And she's had years of that, which I did not. So it was an education in itself, and it gave me a glimpse into a different type of life from the one that I've led. I ultimately decided to donate my kidney, basically because I could. Um, when I heard that she needed a kidney, I straight away wanted to know more and thought of it as a real possibility. Over the next day, I thought maybe I'm crazy and why would I do that? But the more I thought about why I would do it, the more I kept thinking about why I couldn't do it. And I thought the process would take me to a place where if something came up and there was a good reason, I would listen to that, of course. I never found that reason. I never found someone that opposed me or gave me a good enough reason to not do it. I trusted the team and they're looking into my health, and I trust that they would have stopped me if there was any concerns. To me, it was more of a question of why not. It got scary for me when they told me after the tests were done that I would be donating my right kidney and that it would be open surgery. I found out later that they would also most probably remove one of my ribs. And that sounded a little scary. I'm not that brave. I didn't think I was that brave. And it sounded like the laparoscopic versus a whole big open surgery would be more of a challenge for me. I was worried that I would be not able to cope with pain, um, and kind of make a fool of myself. But I trusted the system. I trusted the doctors because we did this in COVID times. Most of the consultations were done by video conferencing, and I knew that they wouldn't do something that my body wouldn't be able to cope with. So that calmed me down again, and I prepared everyone for maybe a longer recovery period. My best support system was my close family who didn't really challenge me on anything. They saw me go through the whole process and deal with all kinds of questions that I've never dealt in my life. They patiently listened to everything that I wanted to say. There's a lot of processing involved in this. You have to think about negative outcomes. You have to think about things like uh, who to appoint for your power of attorney, living will. Is your will in place? Uh, there are a lot of what ifs, and they patiently talked through everything with me. Their concerns they discussed with me, and we could work through that. And they had their own processes that they were working through. I also found a lot of support in family and friends, just asking questions and being interested in the process. I did eventually announce or come out and say this on Facebook, and I had a support group going throughout. And in hospital in COVID times with no visitors, it was lovely to get messages from people that I have regular contact with to people that I didn't have a lot of contact with. And it was just lovely to get messages and know that people are thinking of me and made me think of them. And I felt very supported through the whole process. The best moment after surgery was probably the second or third day when I got together with my recipient for a brief visit, and she asked me if I would do it again. And I didn't have to think about it and realized that yes, I would. I would do it again. It wasn't that easy right out the blocks. The first day was tough, and she was up on her feet before I was. I think it must have been hard for her to see me struggling a bit. I know that on support groups, people post photos of themselves on the first day. I couldn't have done that. I had a tough time texting on my phone, and it took me a while to get moving, but it was 100% better on the second day, and again 100% better on the third day. And when she asked that question, I was so relieved to know that it's my honest answer. I would do it again in a heartbeat. While recovering at home, I was able to handle my responsibilities by just doing everything slower. I'm not very good at sitting still anyway, and I think on day 4 I left the hospital. Hospital stays are a bit longer with the open surgery, and we went straight from getting home to walking the dog for 15 minutes. It was only 15 minutes, but it was minus 17 outside, and it was lovely just after being stuck in the hospital to breathe the fresh air. At home, I could do all the lightweight things, and I just needed help with heavier things that I couldn't carry. But if you break things up into little pieces, it was not hard to handle. Just slow. I was back to my normal self around 4 weeks after surgery. It is now 6 weeks after surgery. I have been back to work, probably part-time, since about 3 weeks after surgery, and I am now back full-time, and I don't have fatigue anymore at night. I don't feel like I'm overly exhausted, which I did at the beginning. I pretty much back to normal. What surprised me mostly about this procedure is the ease that they do it with. The doctors are calm. They seem to just radiate the fact that they do this all the time. It's pretty standard for them. Having had the open surgery, I expected a much harder recovery time. I expected the body to really take a big hammering, and that I'm going to be stuck in a chair for weeks. And I am surprised by how streamlined the whole process is, how they do something that sounds like such a major thing from the outside, and if you're in it, it doesn't feel like it's such a big deal. And you almost get embarrassed when people think that it's bigger than it really is. The recovery has been very, very easy for me. I know that it's not the same for everyone, but if I have to give my perspective, it's a very simple procedure, and I feel very privileged that I could be a part of this. Looking back, the best part of donating a kidney to me had nothing to do with a kidney or a body. I had to get my head around what's really important to me. Why am I doing this? Am I putting my whole family through this process and stress about what could go wrong or what could happen just for my own selfish reasons? I There are so many things that I worked through. What's important in life, what's important in work, and I would never have gone through that if I didn't go through the kidney donation process. It's bigger than that, and then the the other side is the chance you have to give someone else something that could potentially change their lives. It's a it's a wonderful feeling. Um, it's a little bit worrying that there's a chance that it cannot work, but that's another thing again that you have to work through for yourself. And in the process, you could be rejected at any time too. So you need to have your reserves up, and you need to have a backup plan. It was a fantastic process. What I discovered about myself during this process was that I'm project based, and this was another in a long line of projects that I've taken on through my life. And I am brave, and I can handle pain, and I can see a big thing through, like a big physical thing. And I did it, and I'm proud of myself, and no one can take that away from me, ever. The best advice I can give someone who's interested in organ donation and being a living donor would be to do it. Go through the process and do it. It's not for everyone, and there's absolutely no judgment if it's not for you. If at any point you back up, there's nothing embarrassing about that. And I have never come across a living donor that would be judgmental about that either. But just putting yourself into the whole process and working through the questions in your mind, and it's been an enriching, empowering experience. And I would say do it.